We come from the stars. This image you see here might look familiar to you from a fictional Hollywood movie where archaeologists find star maps all over the world and then build a spacecraft to set out to try find them, and they come across bad aliens tied into human history. So there's a real story here. I think it was inspired by my work, and those who own Hollywood, who don't like my grand conclusion that we are all sacred and equal, set out to try and turn it into bad alien agenda because of what's coming. In my work I show in the alien message the human code now, and that the visitors are coming. Okay, so there's the Mars star map, top left hand corner, star computer picture next to it showing the stars that correlate with Mars. Tikal, Maya, exact same thing, small version of the cluster of pyramids you see on the Mars star map. Stonehenge has a cluster, it looks like the leg of the bull for the Pleiades, an ancient Egyptian symbol. Follow the leg, and Stonehenge has the human code in it, which led me to Atlantis, Pleiades Islands, exactly the same star map. And while I was surveying the area back in just the eve, I think it was the eve of 2012, a 3-mile wide message with the human code and a date and the star map appeared. It's as if they knew I was there, and we're going to look at that now in the updates of the human code geometry. This is pretty much a scholar's version of the human code geometry and how I got it and how it can be tested now. The human blueprint geometry code, discovered in ancient megalithic civilizations, shows who we are and where we come from. We come from the stars. And they use this human code you can see it in the DNM pyramid here, at Tikal, in Stonehenge, in the actual Stonehenge monument itself, and you'll see it at Atlantis. In 2003, my first book went out, The Hidden Records, and I showed how the human code fits using just the Vitruvian Man, and I tested it against my own physical form, comparing the geometry marked up against the wall. The first thing I found with the Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci, it isn't really perfect geometry here, the squaring of the circle. And that is now the axis of the circle from the belly button, and the square has a different axis, as you'll see from the male anatomy. Well, that's what I showed in 2003 with the human form, where the Vitruvian Man put his hands in the upright position, touching the circle. I also showed the dimples were exaggerated. Da Vinci shows a normal man, not a bodybuilder muscle man, and these kind of dimples you'll only get in a bodybuilder, and he seems to emphasize them. In my opinion, he's showing he is Orion man with Orion's belt. Well, I took this whole story in 2003 to the UK to promote my book, made big posters of the human geometry found in all the Da Vinci paintings, and things went drastically wrong. I thought it was a coincidence, but one thing after another, after the booking of the Westminster Archives completely failed, the media didn't turn up, there were people in the street telling people to go in a different direction that just appeared out of nowhere. It was a flop. Somebody was interfering. I wanted to know why. Anyway, this is the geometry that I had in those posters that was in the event, how the human code fits with all the most obvious geometry. The 3 windows in the back, I say, are the triptych. 3 portals to the 3 sun-like stars you see in the Grail. Remember, what you saw here was a missing Grail. These are all the clues. You can come back and press pause, follow those geometric lines with the triangulation of the Christ with his forehead, and the human code fits over it. And it's the Grail that is missing. And remember, there's that gap. Dan Brown was quite right. This is the, let's call it the opening, the downward pointing triangle, the vessel, the 3 suns that make the vessel. It wasn't the wife of the Christ that's the Holy Grail. The Grail is a ritual that celebrates the male anatomy rising, the 3 sun-like stars, makes the vessel, sacred feminine Pleiades area, sacred masculine Taurus. Anyway, so I also showed in other paintings as well. I mean, Virgin of the Rocks, very well known. Strange angle here, matching the side of that geometry, looking at the womb of the Christ Mother. Okay, a hand blessing the Christ. But look very closely to this hand. I believe there's another hand that's encoded with the leaves of the plants. 2 eyes, a mouth, very big head of the cherubim, a different kind of angel. Human angel, the grey alien type angels, showing the human code. But this video is not really about all those paintings. It's looking at the actual geometry of the Vitruvian man. So let's go further into this now. Taking into account that I think this is Orion's belt. That's something I published ages ago. You have the Orion constellation and Da Vinci man being Orion man, and the sword of Orion possibly the male anatomy. Take it with a pinch of salt, but that's where I think it's very important that it's all about Orion showing the way. He is the teacher, Orion showing the way to the ancestor stars, making that geometry. Hendrik Cornelius Agrippa. I only highlight this part here that he was part of a very big secret society, and in 1533 published his works on the human code. And this is what he showed. His male anatomy not shown. However, a cross in the place of the belly button. A cross of Orion. I've shown the cross of the churches of Orion in my work, and this is basically Agrippa showing that this man is Orion man. Arms in the upper position, legs apart. There is the squaring of the circle. Better geometry. Important also to notice that the arms in the upper position here. Other clues on here: cosmic serpent, the was scepter that opens the portal, and the all-seeing eye of creation watching over humanity. So that's basically why I tried the arms in the upper position to crack that code. But then look at the extra geometry here. It makes the alpha symbol as well. The origin of the alpha symbol, according to scholars, comes from the apis bull, and that it forms this tilted upside down A, which they call the Aleph, which comes, and from my opinion, scholars will not agree with this, that shape you see here with the tilted head of Taurus matching. So what I'm saying is this alpha symbol represents Taurus, a representation symbol for Taurus, because, well, the ancestor stars are right there behind the back of the bull. Human code fits over it, and I'm saying it's all part of the story of Taurus. The bull horns, the ears of the bull, but you see the long pointed bit here? You can see how the bull became interpreted later when they used this geometry in occult secret society. It's more like the bearded goat pointed part that became a goat head. So this is the Baphomet. 3 sun-like stars, one being birthed. She was demonized to hide a secret. Anybody caught with these papers would be punished because they didn't want humanity to know the secret of the Baphomet with that geometry. Now I'm going to show you how I use the cube, the perfect hexagonal cube geometry. Up to now I didn't use the flower of life, promoting it, because this flower of life symbol is about to be completely attacked and chaos added to it, false theory added to it. There's a Hollywood organization that do not like my conclusion showing that all humanity is equal and sacred. They are using that flower of life, and it's going to be made into absolute chaos and fiction. So now I'm going to show you how the flower of life actually fits here with one very small part where the feet touch the circle. And that is the only important part, if you can call it that, because look, the flower of life is part of the golden mean, the 2/3 ratio, sacred golden mean ratio of the design of all things in the universe. I'm going to show that as well in a few minutes, making the alpha symbol. And the omega is the circle on the outside, the alpha and the omega. This is very important. It's covered in my Alpha Omega book, how these two symbols, the Taurus alpha and the omega stargate. If the cosmic visitor that comes in 2027 says he is from the Alpha Omega, he's saying he's from the Taurus stargate. Okay, let's look closely at the geometry now. Of course, Da Vinci knew about it. There he shows the flower of life. It's the golden mean Fibonacci ratio, and this is in his book called the Codex Atlanticus. Atlantis? Connection? Possibility? I'm sure. Not by chance. There's a lot more that Da Vinci knew about than scholars have spoken about. Look at that triangle also in there. It's just another clue. The cube is obviously that part there. If you can't see it, there is the cube. The perfect cube from the right angle, the right orientation. And there's a cube inside it, just like the tesseract. We're going to discuss that. Is that a coincidence? Hyper-dimensional time travel. It's tied in with the human code. So let's take the geometry further now. The person that should be credited for this flower of life is the man that I show here, because he actually made a very clear point. Chemistry with atoms and their orbitals, cosmology, the way cosmology is seen with telescopes, and biology all follow this design plan. This is the design plan of creation. But remember, this whole thing is going to be completely filled with chaos and false material. Humanity is going to look at this and laugh at it. So the flower of life is going to be a very small part of my work, and I don't really need it to prove the human code. But anyway, let's use it just to show how it fits. Right, you split both the top and bottom planes of the cube into diagonals, splitting the face in half and then in half again. Join those lines, and we get that. Okay, now here's where it starts getting interesting. We get the inner cube visible now. There's the inner cube. Just like I said earlier on, the tesseract, hypercube, a cube within a big cube, right? Now, we see there's two extra points that I've taken. I didn't even need them because you can complete the geometry without them, but the bottom part of the human form fits those 2 points. It's just full and all the lines to join together now, and you get that human form code fits in there. There it is in its full size. That's where the human form fits, right in the middle, which is the alpha symbol. And the geometry now, you can see it's a large equilateral triangle here, and 2 small ones on top. These are 2 90-degree triangles, but here's the interesting part. With the updated geometry that fits better with everything, it's 50 degrees and 40 degrees. That's all that's been basically changed. This is still a general 5-sided figure that human code fits in completely. Whether it's 45 or 50 and 40, it's still a discovery I put forward of these 3 equilateral triangles fitting together and 2 right-angled triangles that I published in 2003. Making those 3 triangles, you can see the equilaterals are blue, and she fits. I've shown the Mona Lisa face. I've put the woman in front of the man, and the man behind, for one simple reason only. The woman has been literally attacked in ancient esoteric history. She's not as important as a man. Well, let's make a point now and put her in front, because it's the combination of male and female. The female is slightly shorter than the male, so the geometry actually works better with the 2 different size averages on statistics for this geometry. And taking the belly button as the point of radius to make that. She's a flame keeper, as you see in the Baphomet geometry, carrying the torch in that position, holding it. But she's also carrying a star in that position in the ancient star maps, like that. The Human Genesis Blueprint Code, found worldwide in a repeating pattern of a defined star map in all ancient civilizations. It solves sun and cosmic bull veneration origins found in ancient history. It shows who we are and where we come from. It shows we come from one of 3 sun-star systems near the Pleiades in the constellation Taurus. There is the new geometry that we've identified now. It's found in Egypt. It's found in Stonehenge and on Mars, the 5-sided pyramid. We're going to look at all those up close. Taking that geometry to the next level. There's the Baphomet, totally understood. When you see the geometry was a good thing. There's nothing destructive or evil about this ancient teaching secret. Story goes in direction now. 2 other places need to be added in here. Vatican City in Rome. The Pope at Orbi, looking out. What did he see at night, midnight? 3, the triangle pointing down, and this triangle pointing up with the 2 brightest stars of Orion through Aldebaran make the triangle pointing to that star right there, and Orion's belt. 3 markers on the ground, 2 obelisks, Egyptian obelisks, and the Castel San Angelo, a star castle. These origins of star castles are very interesting because some of them predate general history. That we'd like to think that it was something built later, but some of them are thousands of years old. And this one in Italy, in my opinion, is one of those. 7 Hills of Rome, the Chi-Rho X, Orion, male anatomy showing the way. This is the view for the Pope. Okay, the Grail is literally being that part of the cosmos. The male anatomy, the bottom part of the Grail ritual, is Orion. So celebrating the birthing of a disk, sun disk, that one there, is performed while looking east with this ritual to teach and remember our sacred origins, in my opinion. Looking at the Vatican from above, there's the Castel San Angelo, the Star Fortress, Popolo Obelisk, Pantheon Obelisk, the 7 Hills of Rome. Were they chosen to build this ancient site that became Vatican City to show as above, so below? Vatican, it looks like a key, a golden key when illuminated at night. That is the key of Solomon, which is also that star. In my 2-hour documentary, you'll see it all. There's the correlation. I'm not going to go too much into that right now. But here it is. Here is the Castel San Angelo. And this was once a very large star fortress. Looking at it from above with Google Earth, I've tidied up a little bit of the shadows here so you can see what's going on. Yes, very basically, she fits. The embankment of that 5-sided fortress was way more advanced. If you look at the old images in this inserted picture, the edges of that star castle were very, very, very enhanced. Star Map Egypt, I've shown 50 pyramids matching a group of stars in one full sweep of the cosmos. Strangely, coincidentally, one of the star shafts of the Great Pyramid aligns with all of these stars, all in one 360-degree sweep for a full rotation of the Earth, when the Earth aligned with the old pole area, which was in the area of the Big Dipper. All of these are represented on the ground with pyramids. My 2-hour documentary will show exactly everything. And we have the exit marks the spot, the Sun Temple shown in the middle of the star map. We would expect that, equidistant gaps. And we have Giza being the place where the human code is found. Right there. Looking now at the pyramids in Giza, the Sphinx I've ringed, the Kenkhouse Pyramid I've ringed. The most important geometry was the corners of the 3 pyramids. That is, without doubt, the most important geometric line that scholars say is more important than any of the other proposed geometry. That was number 1. Number 2, that would follow with that corner as well, pretty much identical. They're nearly the same size with the casing stones, but pretty much the same parallel line. Now look at the Sphinx and Kenkhouse. That is parallel, and their positions are very important. There's a center line splitting through the middle of the 2. They're all fit very geometrically, very neatly, making that geometry and the human form. She dwells here. The Orion man, the Orion human code showing the way. Now look at the strange thing where the line is above the shoulders, showing the way in the cosmos to the ancestor star. Just like the Senma tomb, now we can see Orion man here as Horus Sokar. Look at this odd rod showing the way above his shoulders. Now we can understand it. There's Pleiades, follow the leg of the bull, stars of Atlas Pleione. There is a sun of the night. It's shown as a night scene with stars. And we have the sun symbol. And strangely enough, it's Isis circuit with a Scorpio position showing our sun resides in Scorpio. All of that is in the 2-hour documentary. I don't want to go too much into that. The Indus civilization is exactly what we find on Mars. Pleiades, Orion showing the way, a deity riding the back of the cosmic dragon, lion, tree of life, the title for the cosmic lion with a deity holding a serpent. All of this is in the 2-hour documentary, but the important part is how it fits with the Mars story. Now we look at the Mars star map. There's the DNA pyramid on the nose of the cosmic lion dragon, 2 eyes, mouth, the Mars faces in that position, Pleiades up here, there's an extra sun position. So we have these 3 suns correlating, Pleiades correlating very, very accurately. And Taurus and Orion is here. Look at the back of this lion. There's geometric shapes here, just like that human form code, all right? Orion code showing the way. But this is the most important part to prove the human code. And we're going to look at that now. That's what it once looked like when Mars was once a green area. This, by the way, is the edge of an ocean, like a beachfront property area. There's the story of Orion on the back of the lion. There's many depictions are shown in my 2-hour documentary of the lion with Orion on its back, and then of course in this one shows 7 stars and the lion on the nose tip. Yep, cosmic conduit opening to the sun-like star. That is the mouth of the cosmic lion dragon, making that. So there's the area that we're looking at now, just the Cydonia area with the Mars face, 5-sided pyramid, and the correlations absolutely amazing. That's part of the 2-hour documentary. We'll go in that later. The Mars face with an eye. This is the geometry that I studied in my book and showed that it is very symmetrical. And this image I made well known from 2003 in my first book. It's simply a computer data overlay of the Viking image with the newer, later scans showing the detail of the eye. And of course the 5-sided pyramid. Does she fit there? Absolutely. Just as expected. And if that's the case, it's saying human form evolved here. Then the Mars face is up in this direction. This actually points as a pointer to the Mars face. Let's go back. The human form points to the Mars face. Okay, humans originating, evolving from apes in this area, colonized the sun-like star area, which is Sol 1. And we are the descendants of those people that came and colonized our solar system. That's why they make that one the main one with the human face. The star map Stonehenge, Pleiades, Winterbourne Stoke Barrows. That is the area we're going to test now because the human code dwells here. That's the one I published in 2003, the geometry with the Vitruvian Man version, looking at the different positions of sun and moon risings, all very neat causeways down this way. And that geometry we're looking at. Right, the human geometry in Stonehenge. This is what it looked like in the 1920s. This area in the middle here, a little bit of repair work done. They restored it to that. If they were to restore it further, it would look like this. There's the very controversial Scottish origin alto stone. And we have the tallest one is this trilithon and this horseshoe shape. Let's take that further to prove that. First of all, take that geometry. Scholars have made this geometry. You'll see this one is slightly lower down than I would prefer. I bet these two are exactly level. But anyway, we're taking their geometry, split it into 4 quadrants to find the center. There's the center point. Now we take the center points of the 3 big trilithons. There's the very large one and the 2 that are next to it, and take those lines through each other to the outer circle. Okay, I'm taking it to the inner circle here for a reason you'll see in a minute. And then of course take those lines from the circle back through another trilithon and into this extended geometry. So it's just following on with that geometry. Now we can have a bottom line here where it touches the bottom of this trilithon. Not perfect in my opinion because we're not really using these 2 trilithons down here yet. There is the geometry in the middle. She fits. Cosmic human code fits Stonehenge, but then they don't use this one in this particular geometry. There's another story using these two trilithons with the others, all five, and it creates this. This was in my book in 2003. If you take now from the belly button through the middle, like we did just now, but now where it touches the edge of the circle, go along now the outer edges of the trilithons to make these lines on the outer edges of the trilithons, and then back through here we have a star pattern being formed, where Orion man is the star god, the star deity, so to speak. It came from the stars, and then the causeway is this beam of light that comes from it, the origin of the Christmas tree. The message: we came from the stars, and X marks the spot. This correlates with a sun-like star, Sol 1 primary. So this is what I published in 2003, the very simplified Egyptian story, the Mars story, measuring a grid pattern, human face, human code, and of course in Stonehenge. So that's something that I made well known in 2003. What about the rest of the story? The story goes in the direction of discovering Atlantis. I found the Pleiades Islands in the Atlantic Ocean, on the ocean bed. I found out that Spain and Portugal was once in a different position, and when it was near these islands, the X that marks the spot can be calculated, and it's there. The Donana wetlands has the remains of the two main circular canals. That's all in the 2-hour documentary, and I'm showing the old shape and the fingerprint of these rivers, and it's all here. The mines are here, everything is here. But while I was surveying the area, you see this little bit here in the middle of this main part of the river area, there's the geometric code, the geoglyph, I call it the Atlantis geoglyph, all in the 2-hour documentary. Here's one of them. There's the star map. I've shown a star program. There's a nebula that fits this correlation with the swastika, and yep, it is exactly 2 units on the let's call it the grid pattern here that we see that they chose for the fields. The fields make out a grid pattern. They chose it for that reason. It explains the tilt. The tilt is pretty much a match. So that's all in the 2-hour documentary, but it's the human code that follows from here. There's the perfect analysis of the star map, that it's 2 units to follow from Orion to find that sun-like star Pleiades. So there it is. That's what it looked like. This was one of the last satellite images of it. Shows it is visible. But now there's a new one that's come out, and I'm waiting for updates. This is one that's been sent to me, showing how this whole area has flooded. And you'll notice those little dots are not visible here. That's the area that I say we should look for, the filled-in part of the original 2 canals, because we have that pattern showing that it was once similar to that shape as Atlantis. That's what it looked like just before the heavy rains. The zooplankton theory, that it was made by humans to breed zooplankton. The scholars' first argument was they're too shallow and it's in a floodplain. The next big rains, that'll all be destroyed. And of course the authorities said no, they spent a lot to build these. I mean, it would have cost millions to make it, to study sea monkeys. Zooplankton. Really? Well, it seems to have gone. It lasted 12 years during the drought, as if the ancients knew when they put it there that it would be visible for 12 years. We've got 12 years to make sense of it. But it's now gone. Looking at that area, that's the size of the field area. I need to look closely at the field outline. There it is there. I've extended, there's the grid pattern type layouts of these fields that make that shape. And then I've extended one down here just to show the extended geometry, but we don't really need it. It actually manages quite well with just the field. So if you take just the field, which is that area there, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units of these elongated rectangle grid pattern, and then equal 5 and 5 to split it up into half. And when you do that, it goes through one of the main exit marks the spot. Has Orion rising on the horizon with the X that marks the spot, and this is Orion setting on the horizon, showing it twice. But we're taking this one now, okay, and it goes through part of the message. This decodes as a computer message in the 2-hour documentary, but it goes through that one as well. So we have 2 markers in green circles being covered to split the fields into half. So what we expect to appear in the middle here is special geometry. So there's the center line going through. Now we can show these 2 at the bottom here that are level. Join that line. Then we have this like long cross effect. We can take now from the bottom one, and we can also take going through these 2 markers, almost going through the middle of that one, and going along the same corner again. It goes along the edge because of the orientations. Remember, those orientations are shown because of rising and setting of Orion. So this very artistic way of showing it, but it's now taking those ellipses into account through that geometry. Taking the most important one, the X that marks the spot now, and take that geometry through where it touches the field, back through, you can see now, and doing the same thing now where it touches the circle, through the center point. We get that shape. Now we have the extra little message ellipse now, that's circled. It makes the line going across through the middle of it horizontally. She dwells here. The human code is in the alien message. They're showing who we are and where we come from. That we are tied into their history, they are tied into our history. And they are coming in 2027 as you decode this, as you see in the 2-hour documentary. It's all there. Showing the Baphomet is not a coincidence. That is the human geometry teaching. We've seen it in all these different arrangements. Now we can add Castel San Angelo with it, and Atlantis. It's time to prepare for the return of the ancients.
With the earlier Sumerian clay tablets' precise version of the cosmic human origin star map, and how it matched the template at Stonehenge, would come the mindset that had Herschel set out to search the Atlantic Ocean seabed. It would be this clue that would culminate in this documentary's biggest revelation.
As the world was counting down to 2012, I was watching Google Earth, looking for ruins, refreshed my page, and I saw that. I recognized that curvature from somewhere. This could be a computer code. I think it's first contact. The ancients are returning. I've published a book, Herschel's Atlantis, and there's a 2-hour documentary you'll see at the end of the video. These are my 3 books. I'm trying to promote Saving Forests, $19 for all 3, 1 delivery. Please consider becoming a flamekeeper in the here and now, or when you are gone, or as an activist. Please press pause and come back to this and you'll see the detail. But as a flamekeeper, you become part of the quest to secure the interpretational copyright and visibility of the hidden records. That is the difference.